The hardest part of this job is to understand exactly how your client is, what sort of person he is. And I consider that that's very important for him to be satisfied in the end.
Why are you doing this?
Because I'm fascinated with aesthetic. I would say that it started from my background. My family comes from Florence, and we always grew up in between beauty. So I was always interested in the architectural elements. So whenever I was traveling, I always had a sketchbook, and I was taking sketches of doors, windows, and the way the proportions were done. I thought at one point of architecture, and architecture went through great problems in Italy, and so...
So what did you end up doing?
Economics, business.
You're kidding. So this was the pragmatic Italian thinking?
This was the pragmatic side, exactly. I hated university. I always thought that it was a kind of a fake science, and I wanted instead a very real science, like I thought architecture or maybe, physics or mathematics would have been, and that wasn't the case in business. Anyway, I worked in statistics for 2 years. In the meanwhile, I was already doing more and more things related with interior decorating, and finally I decided that it was time to
break free.
Yes. The thing I knew more about was antiques. So I thought that the way to know more about it was to restore furniture. I was doing that in the morning, and in the afternoon I was working for House and Garden,
right.
And they asked me to find things to do articles on in Italy. I moved to doing small pieces of furniture and carpets, exclusively, in fact, Klims. And at that point, when I had a bit of a bulk of stuff, I decided to drop the magazine and drop the furniture and put it on the start of my business. In every different periods, let's say, they would be building in different ways. And this would help me to recognize if something is fake or not. If you're an interior decorator, you can't just offer decorative pieces, but you have to be a consultant for your client, telling them, this is a good piece of furniture, it's valuable, go ahead and buy it.
How do you work with your clients?
First of all, it's them that find me. They've seen something, they're friends of people for whom I've been working with. They're people that pass by this showroom and start off a piece of furniture or have a frame done or whatever.
Right.
It's a very kind of eclectic and medieval structure. I must say that I'm interested in the job if I can work on the box. The trend is not to fill up the houses as much. If I'm thinking of a house, I'm thinking of a structure. That's why I was telling you before that I come from Florence, and I've sucked in all the Rinascimento.
You absorbed the Renaissance.
Exactly, with all the proportions, with the symmetry and the dimensions of the windows and how much light you have to have and how high the ceiling has to be in proportion to the width and the length of the room and all of that. That I find is very important. It has to have a nice harmony on itself before you fill it up. And then you're sure that half of the job is done.
What was so special about the Renaissance and the concept of scale? Where did all this come from?
They looked back to the past. They looked back to Greeks and Romans. And they were going there and studying the exact proportion, taking measures the whole time. And from that they started off building again, respecting the ancient proportions and then slowly modifying them. The client never knows the box they want. A client would tend to think that he can adapt his needs to the rooms the way they are. And if he's very illuminated, he can think of kind of slightly moving a wall, but not necessarily renovating the whole thing.
There's so much furniture out there. What are you doing that's different?
I would say that my stuff is very classical, but with a twist of contemporary, and it's a sort of style that not necessarily is fine, because either you have reproductions, or you have things that are done from designers, and in between you have quite a lot of ugly stuff.
I'm glad you put it that way.
I do have people that ask me some strange things, but I must say that I'm not at all impulsive. But if I don't like something, it's not that I say, I still haven't got the courage to say that that's revolting. I'm starting more and more to be, but in the whole I try to be polite, but I am not doing the things that I don't like.